2020 is coming to a close faster than you would expect. What a year, am I right? It's tough to look back upon all that happened and come away with a positive outlook, but hey, at least some quality scary stuff got breathed into existence. From quarantine-made movies to some genuinely spooky music, all the way to wicked writing, 2020 made people approach their media differently. And of course, plenty of new SCPs were dreamed up. We've taken a look at 15 brand new SCPs so far, and here comes 5 more. Some may not manage to find a permanent place on the wiki, and others might become legendary in their own right. But there's only one way to find out which is worth a read and which are a little less than lustrous, right? Hello horror heads, and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host, Keegan Hughes, and today we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 newest SCP Monsters 2020 Part 4. Want more SCP? Check out our top 5 SCP Foundations videos playlist right over here. Excellent, let's get to it. Coming in at number 5, we've got SCP-5070. Inanimate objects should remain that way. You know, inanimate. If they start acting like they're sentient, I get a little worried. Toy Story is a lovely story and all, but if I ever saw an action figure act like that in real life, I would be convinced it was demonic possession or something. I would burn it or drop kick it out the window. But what do you do when something that doesn't have a human or animal shape starts acting funny? Take SCP-5070 for example. It is a stapler. Little underwhelming, eh? Well, at least until you observe it for a little while. This black paper fastener is indeed sentient and acts like a woodpecker. Manages to hop and fly around using 2 triangular pieces of paper taped to its handle. The paper is heavier than normal paper, but other than that, everything about this stapler lines up with any other stapler on Earth. If you ignore the sentience and the flying, I mean. But get this, it's a very dangerous stapler. The inscription on the bottom should tip you off as to why. It says, vamp. Yep. This stapler has a thirst for blood. Every once in a while it will enter a hunting phase, and when this happens it'll seek out the closest living animal and effectively staple it to death. Once the prey is dead, the stapler will then absorb the blood through little staple teeth. Nobody knows where this blood goes after a hunt, seeing as the stapler appears to be just a regular stapler with all regular stapler parts, no blood container. It will also drain the color red from objects in place of blood if no live prey is available, like Marceline from Adventure Time. That's actually how the Foundation found the little bugger. Increased reports of once red objects turning gray showed up, and they eventually came across an uninhabited home with an aviary in the main bedroom. Apparently the stapler was created by an anomalous product maker, but I won't get into too much detail here. All you need to know is that there is a flying stapler out there that will drain you dry. Be careful. Coming in at number 4, we've got SCP-5194. Oh no. That just about sums up how one might feel after reading this entry through. The SCP itself has 2 parts. SCP-5194-A, an anomalous submersible that was meant to collect data, and SCP-5194-B, an anomalous memortic sink meant to turn memories into binary code. For a while these 2 objects were being experimented on as possible next level amnestics. They can be used to remove hard to remove memories, usually ones imparted by anomalous means, and store them somewhere secure. But things got a little out of hand. It became apparent that 5194-B wouldn't just remove memories. No, it went much further, annihilating some people, leaving them as lifeless husks. Sure, they were technically alive and they could move around, but they really didn't exist anymore at that point. So the team scrapped it. They shut down the anomalous memortic sink and decommissioned the submersible at the bottom of the ocean. They thought that was that. Game over for 5194. However, it somehow brought itself back to life. It was discovered by the Foundation later on, which surprised folks who expected it to stay at the bottom of the ocean where they left it. Worse yet, it was full of brand new data. The memortic sink would take people's memories and convert them into binary code, right? Then they'd put it somewhere where it couldn't be accessed. Well, that code did have to be stored somewhere. And when the Foundation rediscovered the submersible, they also found that there was plenty of code they didn't know about stored in there. Data that nobody knew the origins of. Stolen memories from all sorts of people that may never be found and may very well be lifeless husks, either wandering the earth or also lying at the bottom of the ocean. Coming in at number 3, we've got SCP-5481. A classic horror trope is having characters misinterpret trees as something more sinister. Sometimes a branch scraping a window can feel like a monster trying to break in. Other times, a swaying tree in the woods can appear to be a person from the right angle. Well, SCP-5481 brings those ideas to life. Like literal life. These trees have arms and they follow people for ages. 5481 instances usually look like Douglas firs, but they have been known to take on the appearance of other common trees. If a humanoid entry comes in contact with one, the tree will seem to grow a pair of arms arms and then hug whatever's there. It's a gentle hug, nothing too sinister there, which I mean, to some people might seem pretty appealing, eh? Just walking up to a tree getting a little TLC. But when the subject ceases to touch the tree, the arms disappear. The Foundation has found that these arms are biologically human, with complex muscular systems and all. They seem to appear spontaneously, which is fun. As of right now, these trees seem to only have one objective though, which is follow Jade Johnson. The Foundation discovered a vast grove of these trees in an Oregon forest. They seem to group up around a cabin, and in said cabin, a journal was discovered. The journal contained the writings of Jane Johnson, who wrote about running away from her home and encountering these trees quite often. Somehow, her mother managed to break up her family and created these anomalous trees, which then pursued Jade wherever she went. Eventually, Jade disappeared. And with her, so did new instances of the trees. Curious. Coming in at number 2, we've got SCP-5877. This one's a good jumping off point for the Man in the White Suit hub, which is an expansive tale of nobodies and name machines. Have fun with that. But to focus on 5877, we'll discuss what exactly they are. This SCP refers to a collection of human-like entities. They're identical to regular people but have no origin. No identities, no records of prior existence, and most recovered instances have been deceased, and they'll show up in places where they really shouldn't be. At one point, dozens were found in the remains of a house fire, even though only 2 people were unaccounted for following the evacuation effort. Another strange event was when a plane crashed and 30 additional victims were discovered, none of whom could be identified. It's just freaky, don't you think? That beings would just appear like that, totally without any roots? Of course, there's plenty additional information to be gleaned from the logs, but that's all part of the bigger picture. Take a look and see if the story draws you in. Let me know if you figure out where exactly all these nameless, identityless people come from. And finally, at number 1, we've got SCP-5353. And speaking of the Man in the White Suit, here is a possible titular character. He and nobody are waging a private war of sorts, causing problems and solving them at the same time. I'm not so sure that we can call SCP-5353 a monster, as they've done both benevolent and beastly things over the years. He's interesting, but also a little scary. Keep an eye out for these mysterious figures. They seem to be able to make strange things happen wherever they roam. 5353 has been cited putting up leaflets that are full of unreadable anomalous text. He's also been spotted chilling in the woods, smoking a cigarette, supposedly waiting for a sign. Days later, a wildfire suddenly started in that very same forest. He's brought down bribery and corruption in Wisconsin, but he's also been seen murdering renowned fortune tellers. It's hard to tell whether anyone would ever be able to trust the Man in the White Suit, which is probably what makes him so interesting. Again, check out the story hub for this one, especially the guy named Nobody. Very interesting indeed. Well, well, well. Did I open your mind to some new anomalous possibilities? I sure hope so, because without new SCPs, what are folks gonna do? Reinterpret the old ones until eternity comes for us all? Well, I'm sure that'd happen either way. So what'd you think of the list? Have you read any of these? Have you been keeping up with some of the new story hubs? And which is your favorite? What new SCP really floats your boat? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more even-keeled ones from the top 5 horror movies you shouldn't watch with your parents. Sinister Sadie says, "You had me at Penis Slugs the movie. We're best friends now." Oh, perfect. I was looking for somebody to bring snacks to movie night anyway. Want to follow up Shivers with Scanners? Or Videodrome? Your pick. AA Street says, "I'm totally gonna watch all these with my dad and his husband. The Peanut Gallery will be hilarious." The Peanut Gallery better not be innuendo for anything. You know, after all the inappropriate things I mentioned in the last video. Random Street Theater says, "When I was 11, my old man got a copy of Rocky Horror Picture Show on VHS and we all sat down and watched it. He would have been happy to watch any of these films with me." Rocky Horror is a blast and a half to watch with your family as long as everyone's okay with the musical. I know not everyone can handle sing-alongs. Matthew Miller says, "I almost watched Enter the Void with my dad and his wife, but I had just downloaded it and my gut told me to watch it before that. I am glad I went that route. It saved a lot of awkwardness, what with the graphic sex and subject matter. Plus, there would have been a lot of explaining to do as the movie is very unorthodox and refuses to give any answers." Good call. I'd say always exercise caution while screening a Gaspard Noé flick. Although, who knows? Maybe you'll convert your dad and his wife into hardcore art house fans. And Golden Sirius says, "Notice how he places his hands. The upside down triangle. That's to encourage you to trust him. Previous hosts did the same, so it's clearly a channel policy. Kind of ridiculous." Damn it, you got us. Illuminati confirmed. We're trying to brainwash you all into liking us. It's definitely not because nobody ever knows what to do with their hands on camera. Before I broadcast a vehicular chainsaw murder on a minor rock radio station, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more killer creatures. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. No. That's the console of the future, you know? When Microsoft and Sony implode, Sega will rise from the ashes. Alright. The Memortic Sync would take people's memories and cabin was a journal, and with her, so did new interest, and with her, no identities, no regular, no identities, no, he's, how am I supposed to say that? Again, check out the story hub for this one.